Showdown at Warg-Tooth Crossing, Chapter 18. A glistening drop of sweat hung just on the edge of Kale's eyelid as the late spring sun spread out a much-appreciated warm glow. He could see the drop quivering there, so he wiped it away as he took a break from building his corral fence. His attention was drawn to the three riders coming up the trail to his ranch. The lead rider, Barth, waved, and Kale waved back. As the riders pulled up, they dismounted and let their horses drink from the water trough. Kale recognized Trory, but didn't know the other man. "Howdy, Kale," Barth said, offering his hand. "Howdy, Barth. Trory," Kale said, taking the hand and nodding. "This is Randall," Barth offered. "Randall," Kale added, tipping his hat. The sun glinted off the ring on his hand. "What brings you fellas out this way?" "Just patrolling, Kale. Thought we might talk a bit, if you have the time." "Sure," Kale said. "You boys need any water or anything?" They both shook their heads and remained with their horses. Kale began to walk along with Barth. "What's on your mind, Barth?" "Nothing worrisome, that's for sure. I heard the king has actually put some money into this place. Things have changed, that's for sure. When the crew collapsed, I rode back to Aclasta and made a full report. I fully expected to be executed. Instead, the king offered to station a garrison here. In fact, we're building a fort just downriver from the town." "I heard something about that." "You heard right. So it seems he didn't have you killed after all." "Nope. In fact, he paraded me in front of the council as proof of his efforts to stamp out the Somat trade. Then he offered me to be garrison commander. It's all political bullshit. I put in my report that it was you that destroyed the fields, but they didn't care. This command should really belong to you." "Don't worry about it, Barth," Kale said, looking around the ranch. "I wouldn't want it anyway." "That's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, Kale." "What's that?" "I could use your help. What you did to take down Bull, what you did to the Scalies. It's true that the Scalies haven't done any more raiding, and with the garrison here and the Somat trade gone, people are starting to flow in and settle this place like never before. But we could use you. You could even have command if you wanted." Kale looked directly at Barth and said, "There's no way I'm ever working for the military again, Barth. But if you ever need any help, I'll be happy to answer the call." He extended his hand and continued, "I do owe you my life." Barth took the hand again and replied, "No, Kale, we all owe you." Then he released Kale's hand and walked back towards the other two horsemen. They mounted up and began to ride on to the south. Barth tipped his hat, then rode on. Kale watched them ride out, then went back to his fence work, only to notice someone again on the north trail, except this man was walking. Only one person would walk this far out of town. "Hello, Arris," Kale called out as his friend strode up. "Kale?" Arris replied and gave Kale a quick, strong hug. "You're well, I trust?" "Legs healed up nicely. I think I'll have some of those burn scars on my face forever, though." "Well, the beard mostly covers them up. Besides, they give you some much-needed character." Kale chuckled. "Well, I reckon so. You want to come in? Have some water or something stronger?" "I surely will, thanks." "Say," Arris remarked, looking at Kale's house, "you've done some serious work here." "Had to," Kale said, as he opened the door and let Arris in to his much more spacious and well-appointed house. "Whiskey?" "No thanks, just boiling water, if you please." Arris extracted a packet from somewhere inside his robes and said, "I brought my own refreshment." "So I see." Kale smiled as he stoked the fire and set the pot to boil. "What do you mean, had to?" "Well, I'm getting married, Arris. I couldn't have a wife stay in the shack I had before." Arris's jaw actually dropped. "Married? To Quinn?" Kale laughed as he sat down in a nice newly constructed chair by his nice newly constructed table. When his laughter died down, he said, "By the gods, no." "Who then?" "One of the Danner daughters, Candace. She'd just come of age, and old man Danner was happy to see her married to a man who could clearly defend her. She's a sensible girl and will make a fine frontier wife." "I thought you and Quinn might, you know." "Well, last I heard, Quinn was running the Horny Toad, ain't that so?" "It is. And I heard there's going to be a garrison stationed here. And they're actually building a fort." "That's true, too." Well then, I think Quinn and her girls are going to be pretty busy keeping those servicemen happy one way or another, and she'll probably get quite rich in the process. Now, why would she want to give all that up to live out here? When you put it like that. And another thing, Arris, little piece of world wisdom they wouldn't teach you in the academy. If you want to be sure of getting a good apple, you should pick one off the tree, not reach down to the barrel. Make sense? You'd know more about these kind of things than me. Kale shrugged. He got up and brought the boiling water over and put it down on a mat on the table. He got Arris a decent cup from his nice, newly constructed shelf and poured the hot water in it, then got him a spoon. Arris dumped the contents of the pouch into the water, and that familiar exotic smell filled the room. Kale, for his part, reached up and brought down a jug. He got his own cup and poured himself some of the tawny liquid. He took a small sip and felt the pleasing burn go all the way down his insides. Arris had a pleasant faraway look after his first sip, but then brought his attention back to Kale. He said, "Part of the reason I wanted to come out here was to tell you some more things I found out about that ring." Kale rubbed the ring with his fingers of his left hand. Most of the time he forgot it was there. It became completely unobtrusive in the most peculiar way. "Do tell," he urged. "The first thing you should know is that a powerful item like that won't last forever. Every time you use it, it has a chance of failing completely. When it does so, it will just be a normal ring and not be able to cast the lightning spell, nor offer its enhancements." Enhancements? Yes, along with the spell casting, the Ring of Olympus confers a significant magical increase in your fighting ability, more speed, and it also slightly protects you. Kale rotated his right hand at the wrist, gazing at the ring, and said, "Well, how about that? Bull, you old son of a bitch." Kale thought some more, then asked, "What kind of chance of failing?" The tone wasn't very specific, but I'd make an educated guess of about 1 in 10. I wonder if Bull knew. I wonder if that's why he used it only when he had to. Maybe. Just possessing a ring like that was very intimidating. I'm sure it didn't hamper his ability to lead the steel crew and manage the Somat trade, Arris offered. No, it didn't. And he was completely confident he was going to destroy me that day. I still can't believe your trick worked. How the hell did you figure that out? There are many branches of study at the academy. I mostly studied alchemy, potions, and herbology, along of course with the basics of illusion, spellcasting. But we took a broad syllabus, including some natural philosophy. There are some processes in nature that look like magic, but are actually much more basic and can occur without a casting agent. Although I wonder, Arris mused, if at some very basic level it all comes from some fundamental set of laws or principles. Kale was scowling. But that's not important, Arris hastily continued. What is important is that it is conjectured that lightning is actually the movement of countless very small objects that carry the power of the lightning with them. Individually, they are not strong, but together in very large numbers quite destructive. It has been observed that these small objects have an affinity for metal, especially metal that forms points. I hypothesized that if you could get behind your steel sword, the lightning objects would flow down the sword and into the ground. I wanted to be more sure, though, so I had Harl fashion the object I gave to you, both to increase the height at which metal was between you and Bull, but also to offer points to attract the lightning objects. When I get back to the academy, I intend to write a paper on the entire affair. New knowledge is extremely exciting, and of course, I was quite happy it saved your life. I'll drink to that, Kale said, while sipping some more of his whiskey. Arris followed in turn with his cup. Kale then asked, "Are you saying that you're going back to the academy?" Arris set his cup down and clasped his hands together. He replied, "Not right away, but I am going to be leaving town. That was the other reason for me coming by today, to say goodbye." Kale's eyes widened in surprise. "I wouldn't have expected you to go right now. The town still needs you. And didn't you want to spread that message about not relying on the gods?" "Town doesn't need me anymore, Kale. There's army clerics here that have been stationed with the new garrison. They can take care of people's healing needs. Somehow, I don't think they have your facility with mixtures." "No, but they do have healing powers. You know that." Kale nodded. "As for spreading the message, I think I do more by just living what I want to show instead of talking about it. To tell the truth, I stopped talking about it a long time ago. I think that people understand better what they see with their own eyes than try to listen to what someone tells them, if that makes any sense." "It does, my friend. More of your world wisdom." Kale smiled, then the smile faded. He said quickly, "Where will you go, then, if not back to the academy?" Arris took another long drink, then set the cup down. He answered, "To the caves, of course." "What?" Kale exclaimed. "To the Caves of Janxrathra. After hearing the stories about what the Steel Crew did there, I realized it was a treasure trove of magic, creatures, different races from all over, and, well, just everything. I've got to go there and study and learn. It really is a peculiar place, not at all a naturally occurring phenomena. The nexus of magic that must have been used to create such an artificial—" Kale was scowling again. "Well, at any rate," Arris summed up, "I believe that it is my next port of call. You should be very careful there, Arris. If there's one thing I've heard about the caves, is that they've killed a lot of adventurers, even very experienced ones." "I understand, Kale, and thank you for your concern. I assure you I will be careful." "That's all I ask." Kale sat in silence with his friend. He finished off his whiskey, and Arris finished his special tea. They continued to sit for a while, toying with their cups, enjoying the moment. Then Arris slowly stood up and took his cup to the wash basin. "I suppose I must really be going now. It is a bit of a hike back to town." Kale smiled. "When are you going to get a horse?" "When I can afford one." "What?" "We both raided Bull's storeroom before the crew woke up. I know for a fact you have plenty of gold." Arris grinned back. "I guess the truth is I like walking." "Well, don't walk all the way to Cave Town, you crazy schoolboy." They both got serious and came together for a last meaningful clasp. Then Arris turned and began walking back to town. When he was just still within earshot, he turned and called to Kale. "Good luck in your new adventure. I confess I can't imagine you married." "Neither could my first wife," Kale shot back. Arris laughed, then continued his walk to Warg-Tooth crossing. Kale felt the glow of whiskey in his belly and didn't feel like getting back to work right away, although he knew he'd have to get the corral done before nightfall. He gazed over the prairie, newly growing grass playfully swaying in the wind, puffy clouds chasing across the immense sky, and Raider giving an amused whinny from where he grazed. Kale breathed in the air, leaned against a fence post, and just stared and stared, with a steady eye. Showdown at Warg-Tooth Crossing. Epilogue. "What'll it be, buddy?" Flynn asked. "I'll just have some boiling water in a cup, please," Arris answered. "Yeah? For what?" Arris retrieved a packet from his robes. "So I can make my tea." "Let me see that." Flynn reached out a hand. Arris reluctantly handed over the packet. Flynn opened it and took a sniff. He wrinkled his nose and handed it back. "That'll cost you extra for bringing in your own drugs. You know we sell SOMAD here." "I prefer my own blend," Arris replied. "Will 2 silver cover it?" "Make it 5, brother." Arris handed over the coins as he said, "You know, your prices and lack of hospitality will vitiate your profitability." "What?" "Never mind." Arris busied himself with pouring the packet into the hot water. He took a sip and relaxed back into his chair. "Bartender?" "The name's Flynn." "Flynn, then." Arris looked around at the rough crowd and the crossbow hanging behind the bar. "How many people have you shot in this place?" "Shot or killed?" I didn't think to distinguish." Arris trailed off as Flynn busied himself cleaning some glasses behind the bar, then served another customer. He called out to Flynn, pointing behind the bar, "You know, I have a friend who's quite handy with a crossbow." "Yeah?" "Yeah. He went head-to-head in a shootout against a man with a ring of Olympus, and won." "Well, partner, it don't seem likely a crossbow bolt can beat a lightning bolt." "He had help. I helped him." "That a fact?" "That's a fact." "Well, if you say so. What's your name, stranger?" Flynn asked. Most people around here call me Arris, but where I come from, it's pronounced more like Harris. Okay, Arris. Flynn went off to serve another customer. When Flynn came back, into earshot, Arris continued, You know, Flynn, sometimes when things look bad, if you keep trying, even something small can make a big difference. Now that's true. I know that's for true. Flynn, would you like to hear the story of how my friend won that fight? Has it got cowboys, bad guys, a crazy frontier name for a town, and a shootout? It most certainly does. Well, why not? Who wouldn't want to hear a story like that? The end.